Again, trying to make sure that everyone stays safe. But we do have team coverage on this situation as well. We have Adam Duxter, who is out there. We have photojournalist crews who are out there. Connor White, who is out there as well. So we're going to continue to check in with them as they get new information, piecing together what exactly is continuing to unfold right here in South Minneapolis. Because, again, this is our home. This is our community, the place that we love, the place that we hold sacred. So we want to make sure that everyone is safe. Now, we know that's not the case. Because we have seen law enforcement there. We've seen ambulances there. We've seen weapons that have been fired with chemical irritants as well. So if we can, should we go ahead and check in with Adam Duxter? He's live on the ground right now.
Let me pull him up. And Adam, I'll let you know when we can hear you and see you. Adam, what are you seeing? You are live.
Hey, guys. Yes, we've been here for the past... Hold on, guys. I've got mixed minus in my IFB. I'm so sorry. We've been here for probably the past hour and a half or so. It's been chaos since we've been here. What we know is that this started today probably around 9:30, and we were told by neighbors that they saw and heard ICE activity happening on Portland here in 34th, and talked to two different sets of neighbors who said they came outside, and what they saw was multiple federal agents surrounding a Honda Pilot, an SUV. And they say that the Honda Pilot was essentially attempting to get out. They say at one point a federal agent went up to the Honda Pilot in an attempt to open up the driver's side door, and they say that's when the driver of that Honda Pilot put it in reverse and then drove away. And they say that's when neighbors tell me that's when they heard multiple shots go out. They believe it was a federal agent firing shots into the side of that Honda Pilot. We were then told that a person from that car was taken out, put on the ground. There was CPR attempted. I've seen multiple videos of paramedics attempting CPR on one person who is believed to be inside of that Honda Pilot. And we're told that there might have been some difficulty getting an ambulance to that vehicle, again, just because of the size of the scene and how many cars were out here. But we were told eventually they were able to get that person and take them away. Again, we have no clue right now as to that person's condition. But again, multiple neighbors corroborating that story that there was some sort of standoff, if you will, and then multiple shots were fired into that Honda Pilot, again, believed to be by one of the agents on scene. I can tell you I've seen with my own eyes. Greg Bovino from Border Patrol is here on scene. We have seen him, and there has been multiple agencies between Border Patrol, the Sheriff's Office here in Hennepin County, Minneapolis Police are here working crowd control. I've seen probably 4 or 5 different members of City Council. I've seen Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara here on scene. But then, guys, I want to tell you, within the last 5 to 10 minutes, things really escalated again. Photojournalist Dave Charest kind of showing you where it happened off of 34th here. One of the vehicles was attempting to leave this area. One of the, I believe, federal vehicles and demonstrators were getting in front of that car. We saw one moment where a demonstrator, a protester, if you will, got tangled up with the federal agent and then had some sort of chemical irritant deployed directly to their face. I saw that man bleeding from the face. He was huddled over and people were pouring water onto his face. And then federal agents went down to an alley about a half block from here and attempting to get down the alley. I can tell you demonstrators were throwing snowballs. They were beating on the car. They broke the windshield. And again, that is when federal agents got out of that vehicle and began deploying those chemical irritants. I can tell you tear gas was deployed. I can tell you they were using mace or pepper spray, if you will. And again, there was dozens of people here who needed, some sort of help or attention after that, including just about all of us with the media as we were trying to see what happened. But again, if you're just tuning in, and I apologize, I was hearing myself, so I took out my IFB, but if you're just now tuning in, we can tell you that there was a shooting here on 34th in Portland. I talked to multiple neighbors here along Portland citizen who say they saw some sort of clash between multiple federal agents and people in a Honda Pilot SUV. And they say that at one point, one of those federal agents attempted to open the door of that Honda Pilot, and that is when the driver, they say, put it in reverse and then drove away. And again, we've heard from multiple neighbors now that multiple shots were fired. 2 or 3 shots is the most common that I've heard so far. And we, again, were told at least one person was taken away. And again, paramedics having a really hard time getting to the center of this scene just because of how many people are here. But I'll have our photojournalists give you an idea of the size of this crowd. And again, Minneapolis police are on scene. It would appear the majority of the federal agents we had seen are now gone. But Minneapolis police are here on scene, as well as Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. But I would say as chaotic of a scene as we've ever seen. You could think back to the federal action we saw on Lake in Bloomington over the course of this past summer. This is that and then some, as far as clashes between demonstrators or protesters and these federal agents. Again, just this week we were told the largest immigration effort, ICE says, in its history. 2,000 plus federal agents descended here into Minneapolis. They say there's just as many Homeland Security investigators in Minneapolis right now as there are the entire state of Arizona. And today we know shots were fired, we believe, by a federal agent or someone here working. And again, a person taken away. Again, I've seen videos of that person being administered CPR by a paramedic of some sort. We do not have an update on that person's condition, but again, it all started with some sort of federal action or some sort of federal activity here on Portland and 34th on Minneapolis South Side. And again, it culminated with those shots fired into that vehicle. And again, one person taken away. And I will tell you both, and I apologize, I'm just rambling here, but this is not a good scene. Again, as bad as we have seen. And again, multiple chemical irritants deployed, some people from point blank range. And again, some really grisly clashes with protesters and federal agents here on Minneapolis South Side. But again, we're still trying to figure out what is happening here as far as the nitty gritty of the details. And we're told that there could be a possibility of some sort of press conference at some point today. As I had mentioned, there's 4 or 5 different city council members here. I've seen the chief of police here. So I think they're working things out on their end before they get any word out here.